What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the channel. Today we're going to be bringing you guys some Twin Suns content. We're going to talk about the rules of Twin Suns and how it differs from regular constructed. I'm going to also give you some tips to what I kind of follow when building Twin Suns decks and my type of strategy that I like to kind of follow in matches. And then I'm also going to be going over the deck list of what I'm using currently, because I've been playing a lot of Twin Suns lately. I've been using the same deck, and obviously, as you guys see here, I play a Luke and Hera deck. I feel like they go together really well, and I'll explain why I do choose these two and why I play them in the deck list when we get to that point. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and hop over and talk about the Twin Suns rules. So, like constructed, you're going to be building a deck, and you're going to be building a deck with a base, and then leaders, and you're going to be going up against other people. But what's different about this game mode is that it's a 4-person format where each person's on their own team and you are all trying to take out each other's bases. But when one base is taken out, the person who takes out that base gains 5 HP. And then at the end of that phase, whoever has the most HP at the end of that phase wins the match. So we're not getting everyone's base down to 0. We're going to get 1. You can get multiple, but once you get 1, it starts the final round. So keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind that you are making a deck of at least 50 cards, and then when we get to set 3, it will jump up to at least 80 cards. And each card can only be used once in a deck. It's singleton rules, so you can only play, let's just say, 1 Luke's lightsaber. You can only play 1 confiscate, 1 repair, right? You can only play 1 of each card, so it makes it pretty hard to make your decisions to put down your resources and stuff like that, because you have to be smart in what you're putting down and what you're going to be losing, most likely for the game. Another thing to keep in mind when it comes to this game is that you're building a deck using 2 different leaders and a base. So it gives you more options of colors to add into your deck, but also a couple of leaders gives you, a lot more playing viability and cool combos you can do in these decks. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You're building with 2 leaders instead of 1. We're going to go over the counters, right? We have the initiative token. That's the same. When you grab initiative, you get to start the next phase. That's always going to be the same. This game mode, Twin Suns, introduces 2 counters. You have the blast counter. The blast counter is pretty much Sabine's ability without taking damage to your own base. So you take the blast counter and you deal 1 damage to everyone's base. So that's pretty cool. And then you have the plan counter. The plan counter allows you to draw a card from your deck, but then you have to put a card from your hand onto the bottom of your deck. So you are able to potentially, if you're not getting the cards that you need or want, you can go ahead and draw a card. And then hopefully that will be a card that you want to use, and you can put a card that you didn't want in your hand to the bottom of the deck. So that's just a good way to kind of cycle through and make sure you can try to draw into something better for your next turn. So basically in this game mode, you need to try to get someone's base down to 0 while also trying to keep everyone else's bases relatively close, because if you get someone's base down and one person's base is pretty much at max, they're most likely going to win the game. So it's a game mode where you have to all not really work together, but try to make sure you guys all stay on the same playing field while also trying to take out people's boards and board states and bases to the point where you can manage to take over and take out that base, gain that HP, and then hopefully have more HP than your opponents. And even if someone else takes out the base, you can still manage to win the game because you can still heal up more than them. So there's a lot of politicking in this game. If you guys ever played Commander, it's kind of like that, except that you don't have to have everyone except for yourself taken out. It's just one guy's taken out. It starts the final round. So it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy this game mode. All right, so before we get into my deck list and my deck, let's go over some things that I like to think about when preparing to make a Twin Suns deck, right? 1, the leader combination. Try to see if you can think of a cool combination as to why these 2 leaders should be together. So I play Luke and Hera, and Luke is able to give out shields to everyone else, and Hera is able to give out to your experience, give experience tokens to your unique units. So I think that's a really cool combo where one of your leaders is giving out an experience token to all your unique units, and then Luke can go ahead and shield them up. Or you can go ahead and use Hera to give Luke an experience token, and then, use Luke to give Hera shields, keeping them on the board even longer. Again, just that exchange of tokens is what makes this combination, in my mind, pretty cool. Also, Hera being able to add in any Spectre unit outside your aspects. Although you are playing pretty much every single aspect at this point, it's still nice to have a couple cards not have to bite you in the butt if you want to play them, right? So another thing to kind of think about when you are making your deck is what type of cards to add in, obviously, right? So number 1, I recommend putting in a good amount of Sentinels if you can, or things that give Sentinel to other things, mainly because if you're bringing out your leader and you have a sentinel on board, it's going to at least give you some time to maybe set up your leader in a way that it won't be taken out immediately if no one else has their leader on board, right? So I like to play out sentinels and then bring out my leaders to, again, put that wall up and try to protect them as long as possible. I understand that events can go past sentinels, but you know, if there is no event that can go ahead and take out a leader, obviously, then bring out your leader behind a sentinel. It just provides that protection to where even if multiple people are attacking you, multiple people are using their resources to get through that sentinel. And it's just, in my mind, a good way to make sure your leaders at least try to stay on the board a little bit longer. Another thing to try to add into your deck list are things that kind of give restore or ways to restore your base. Now, the reason being is that when the game ends, when one person is taken down to 0, that person gains 5 HP. You need a way, if you're not that person, to also gain back HP to maybe catch up to that person, or at any given point, if your HP is getting low, it's always good to kind of restore your base and make sure that you kind of stay at least even with everyone else, or if you restore to go ahead of everyone else. It's just a really good ability to have restore units. I play a good amount of restore units, and I have some restore events and upgrades as well, just because HP is really important in this game mode, obviously. And so in my mind, trying to make sure you have options as to gain that HP back when you need it, I think it's smart to play a lot of restore units in Twin Suns. Another thing to kind of think about is playing things out of aspect in this doesn't feel as bad. And the reason I'm saying this is because I play a couple of cards out of aspect, and I feel like in Twin Suns, because there are so many other people in the game, that you have them focusing maybe on each other, and you can play a card out of aspect for 2 more resources, and it won't feel as bad because you're not like the immediate target maybe. But still, it just gives you other options as well. I play, I think, 2 or 3, maybe 4 cards out of aspect, and I'll go over them when we go over the deck list. But again, I think that they are worth it when we get to that point, right? And then another thing to kind of think about are forms of removal, whether it be your units that can remove cards through ambush, or you can go ahead, like with Admiral Akbar, use his ability to get rid of things, and then, you know, Overwhelm Barrage, Vanquish, and stuff like that. The ability to play a card and get rid of a card on the board in this is really good, especially if it's a big threat, because you can use that as a manipulation or a way to kind of be like, hey, don't attack me, I'll get rid of this threat. And your opponents are like, okay, well, we all need that threat gone. It kind of provides you with that protection. It's part of that politicking, but still, you have to have removal in this just in case things kind of get crazy on one person's board. So the 3 type of cards that I recommend heavily in this format are Sentinels, restore units or restore events, and then obviously removal is just key in every type of card game, and there's no difference with this, right? So with that being said, again, it's a 4-person format. You just have to play out the game, and hopefully you can, you know, get your way to the top. It's a lot of fun. There becomes some type of moments where you kind of get angry or a little bit quote unquote salty, and you know, it's gonna happen. You're gonna feel targeted at times, so if people don't like that, I'm sorry about that, but like, it's just the way the game goes. You have to be smart with how you play it, because you don't want to get to the point where you are the threat and the target, but you also don't want to fall so far behind to where you're just now in a place where you're just gonna get ran over. So you have to find a happy medium, in my opinion. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the deck list now, and I'll talk about my leaders as to and why I play them, which I already alluded to. And let's go ahead and talk about Luke first. Luke, obviously, you can spend 1, and for an action, you can give a shield to a heroic unit, and that has come in this phase. So you can't go ahead and play something next turn, give it a shield. No, it has to be that same turn. So keep that in mind. It's a good way to kind of keep things on the board a little bit longer. Also, I like to give my Sentinel shield, which then makes it so they can take a couple more hits and more protection. That's the main reason why I, again, like to have Sentinels attack with Luke, protect the Sentinels to protect Luke, and all that type of stuff. It's a really, really good combination, and you get to maybe keep Luke on the board a little bit longer. And obviously, when he comes out, he's a 4/7, and on attack, you get to give another shield token. I'll give another unit a shield token. So spreading shield tokens around to anyone, always good. Next leader we play, as you guys know, we play Hera. Hera, again, gets rid of the aspect penalty for Spectres, but when she's a leader unit on attack, give an experience token to a unique unit, which works very well with Luke, who's, you can just give someone a shield and an experience token and just kind of focus on that. So it's just a good way to make your units stronger and then also using Luke to protect those units that you are making stronger. Or if you want to protect Hera, give Hera a shield. Or if you want to give Luke experience tokens, you know, you can go that route. I got Luke up to like a 12, 13 at one point, and then things kind of went off the rails. But still, I can get Luke up really crazy strong. So it is a really good combination. I definitely recommend it. Now, when it comes to the base, I do not think in this format the rare bases are ever going to be used, if rarely. You don't want to start with 25 HP less in this format, because getting ambush, minusing 4 on one guy's attack, dealing 3 damage to a random unit, like, and giving a random shield to someone, it's just not worth it. Getting that 5 HP, because this game mode is focused on the HP at the end of the game, giving up that 5 HP in the beginning for one ability on one turn, not worth it. I recommend running a 30 HP base. If you want to run the 25 HP base, that's fine, but I just think in this format, the 30 HP base is the way you want to go. And yeah, I just play red. And it's red because there are a few cards that I figured would be really good, and I'll go over those red cards. I don't play a ton of red cards, but I just think that it was worth running in the deck, right? So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into our ground units. We're going to go through this quickly because there are 50 different cards in this. I don't want to be sitting here all like day and talk about these, but let's go ahead and hop into it. We do over it faster. We have Chopper, and you know, he helps you. You can potentially mill out a card that could be dangerous for you when attacking with Chopper. I remember I attacked someone and got rid of their Vanquish. Perfect. It was really good. And I think I got rid of their Super Laser Blast as well with another card that milled. So mill in this is also really good because you're only playing with one type of each card, and you can really set them back. Next, we play Sabine, another Spectre unit. And again, in this game mode, you're more likely to have 3 different aspects on the board, so you can give this thing protection from being attacked, which is really good. And then you can also on attack deal damage to a base or a defender. We all know what Sabine does. Battlefield Marine, just a good 2-drop, vanilla, 3/3, always good. Guardian of the Wills, we're adding that force unit into the build, and then also you can play an equipped unit and an upgrade unit. An upgrade on this unit. Sorry about that. You can play an upgrade on this unit, and then it costs 1 less for the first one played on each turn, so that's pretty good. Yoda, this is the first restore unit in the deck, and when defeated, you get to draw a card. Card draw is kind of key in this because you only play one of each card. You kind of need to see as much as possible to get you in a good spot, right? Fleet Lieutenant, one of my favorite cards. There are a lot of rebels in this deck. You play it, you swing with a rebel, it does 5 damage. Really good at swinging into bases or getting rid of a big threat, so keep that in mind. Admiral Akbar, another restore unit. When played, deals damage equal to the amount of ground units you have to a single unit, so that's pretty good. We have Echo Base Defender, a Sentinel, good there for protection. Fighters for Freedom, this is one of the red cards I play because though we don't play many red cards, you're not going to really get the other ability. It is a 3/4 for 3 and has Saboteur, so I can get around people's Sentinels, which is just really good. Ezra, playing out of aspect here, but it is a Spectre, and it's a good way to kind of cycle through your deck. If you attack with him, you can go ahead and look at the top card of your deck. You can play it, or you can go ahead, chuck it, or keep it on top of the deck. It's a good way to get that cycling going. Next, we have Cloud City Windguard. It is a Sentinel, again, there for protection for my other units, trying to make sure they stay on the board as long as possible. Gerald Dodona, being able to boost up my other rebels, always a pretty good staple here. Kanan Jarrus with all the Spectres that we play. On attack, discard 1 card for your defending person, and then each you heal 1 damage for each aspect among them, and that's really good because you are going to have a little bit more chance to get more aspects. You could potentially even heal up to 4 times. So 4 HP, so that's really good with Kanan. K2SO, always good. It has Overwhelm, so when you're using it to destroy people's units, you get to do overwhelming damage. And then also on defeat, it does for each opponent. So that's crazy. You can deal it so much stuff. So for each opponent, you get to do this effect. It's so good. Deal 3 damage or make them discard a card. So good. Regional Sympathizer, just have it for the restore. Not a bad thing there. We have the Security Force here. It's a 3/7. It's a big defensive unit in terms of it has 7 HP, so it can stay on the board a little bit longer and just kind of stay there. So I figured for 4 it was not too bad. Next, we have Zeb. Zeb is good at kind of controlling the board in the fact that when you swing, you deal another 4 damage if you have taken out another unit. You deal another 4 damage to another ground unit. So it's a good way to keep up the damage all the way around the board here. Obi-Wan Kenobi, one of the best Sentinels in the game because when he's defeated, he gets to go ahead and give something 2 experience tokens. And then if it's a force unit, you get to draw a card, so more draw power. And also just giving out 2 experience when a Sentinel dies, really, really good. We have Lando Calrissian. This is an out of aspect card in the first one we have in the deck. The reason I play this card is because it is so good. Because you get to put 2 friendly resources back to your hand. And then this is so important because you're only playing 1 of each card. I can't stress this enough. In the beginning of the game, you might have to put down like a higher cost unit. Maybe you have to put down Zeb or an event you don't want to put down and stuff like that because of where you are in the game. But being able to play this even for 8 to bring those cards back to your hand, really, really good. And also I can pop this off with another card in my deck for just 6, right? It doesn't get up in resource value or cost. It's a really good card in this format because being able to pick up resources from your, resources that you have to give away early because you play 1 of each card. I can't stress enough how good this card is, even out of aspect. Next, we have Luke. Luke, restore 3 when he comes out. If something, a friendly unit has died, you do -6/-6 or something, or -3/-3 if nothing died. Just a really good card. It's just, again, another restore unit, one of the best restore units in the game. Though when this thing comes out, he's instantly targeted, so try to keep that in mind. Get him out in a really good position to be able to stay on the board a little bit longer, right? But those are all of our ground units. We play 20 ground units, so that's 40% of our deck. It's not too bad. Let's get to our space units. We only play 9 space units, but it's not too bad. We have Green Squadron A-Wing, one of the best space units in the game. Just has grade 2. Restore Arc 170, another restore unit, trying to make sure you keep that HP going on your base. Wing Leader, we're powering up our rebels. As always, we're going to give something 2 experience tokens as long as it's a friendly rebel. Red 3, we're playing a ton of heroic units, so this is just a way to make it so we can do more damage, giving our heroic units raid 1, so that's always good. We have the Star Viper. If we manage to grab the initiative, this thing has restore 2, another way to restore our base. You're seeing that as a kind of theme, especially in this deck. We have Bright Hope. This is one of my favorite cards. This is also a good way to kind of save one of your units. If someone's targeting it down and it's close to dying and you don't want to lose the ability to have this card, play this, bring it back to your hand as long as it's a ground unit, and then you can go ahead and draw a card as well. This is also a Sentinel in space. Always good to have Sentinels everywhere, ground and space. We have System Patrol Craft. Again, a Sentinel in space. If you put a Sentinel in space, more times than not, you kind of are safe in this format, I feel like. Whenever I put Bright Hope, although everyone who plays Palpatine steals my Bright Hope, I'm not going to lie. But, I feel like whenever I put a Sentinel in space, I'm pretty safe for a little bit. So it's always good to have. We have Home 1 when it comes to the late game. Restore 2 and gives each friendly unit restore 1. A great way to make sure that you have some healing late game. Also, when you play it, you can play a heroic unit from your discard pile for 3 less. If you only have 8 resources, you can play things like Admiral Akbar and stuff like that from your discard pile, which is pretty good. Or if you have more than 8 and you can go ahead and play a higher cost, it just lowers it by 3. So you can go ahead and pop Zeb back onto the board for the cost of 2, which is just really good. So keep in mind, Home 1, a good way to restore and a good way to bring units back. Next, we have Redemption Medical Frigate. It's a Sentinel again, but also when played, you can heal up to 8 damage from any number of units and or base and deal that much damage to this unit. So listen, if you need it, heal up all 8 HP on your base, and this thing can still take at least 1 hit in space. So it's just really good way to heal not only your base, but also your units to try to keep them on the board. So Medical Frigate, pretty good. So those are all of our space units. We only play 9, and altogether we play 29 total units. I think that's a good amount of the deck being units. Then we're going to go ahead and hop into our events here. We have Repair. I think Repair is really good. It's only a 1 cost, and being able to heal 3 damage from a unit or base is just solid. And oftentimes, you're gonna say like, oh, I have 1 resource left for the turn. If everyone is taking all the counters and the blast counters and all that stuff, we can go ahead and play this and just heal up 3 up from our base. Like, again, it's just a good way to heal base for cheap. Next, we have Heroic Sacrifice. It's a way to draw a card, but then also being able to maybe give something that extra kick to take out a big threat or deal extra damage to a base. Again, drawing the card is very nice, but sometimes you just need to get that extra oomph to get rid of something. And this is the way to do it. Spark of the Rebellion. Spectre event, so it doesn't cost 4, it only costs 2 for us. But look at an opponent's hand and discard a card from it. That's very, very key in this format, because if you sense that someone has maybe a super laser blast or any type of other removal, this would definitely go ahead and throw in for sure. Next, You Are My Only Hope. It's obviously, you play this, you can hopefully pop a unit onto the board for cheaper. It's just really good. Search top card of your deck and you may play for 5 less. Really, really good. Four cards I believe in. One of the main reasons why I play red is because you get to look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Every heroic unit does it damage to your opponent. With that being said, you also reorganize them in a way where it better suits you. Next card we have to go over is Make an Opening. Make an Opening is really good. You get to -2/-2 on one of your opponent's units. And then on top of that, you get to restore 2 from your HP. Another way to restore your base. Next, we have Strike True is a removal. If you have something that has a lot of attack, you can go ahead and use that to take out one of your opponent's units that you feel are a big threat. So it's pretty good there. Resupply, ramping is always good. So especially if you get this early on turn 2, it can set you up for really good plays coming up. So yes, you have to give up your turn 2 play, but getting this as early as possible is really, really good. Another card that I play out of Aspect here, I Am Your Father. So it's going to be a 5 cost for me. But even if that's the case, dealing 7 damage to an opponent's unit is always good. Or if they say no, you get to draw 3 cards. Really, really good in this format because you need to see as many cards as possible because you only have 1 of each card. So yes, I understand this is a 5 cost in this deck, but I do think that it is overall worth it because of that draw power potential. Next, we have Vigilance. This is a 6 cost, but again, I think that this is worth it. You can have your opponent mill 6 cards from the top of the deck. That's very mean in this format, but again, you can do that. I oftentimes heal HP from my base, defeat a unit with 3 or less, or give a shield token to a unit. I'm always healing HP. It just is what it is. But I like to give shield tokens, but if there's a threat on the board with 3 or less HP with a shield, I'll target that. But I do feel like milling in Twin Suns is kind of mean, so I try not to do that because it is a casual format and it's meant to be fun. So I typically don't choose to mill. Next, we have Takedown. So you get to deal 5 or less. You get to take out a unit that has 5 or less HP. We all know what Takedown does. The Force is with me, one of my favorite cards. There are a good amount of Force units in this deck, and you get to choose a friendly unit, gets 2 experience. If it's a Force unit, or if there's a Force unit on the board, that unit gets a shield, and you get to attack with it. It's just a really good card. Next, we have Command. The main reason I have Command is to give out 2 experience tokens, and then a friendly unit gets to deal damage equal to its power to a non-unique enemy unit. So those are kind of the ones that I go with. It's also a good way to get something back from your discard pile if you really need to get a unit from your discard pile. And then, you know, if you don't need any of that and you want to have an extra resource, go ahead and play it. But I do like to at least give the experience token and, you know, I go from there. Vanquish, you get to defeat a non-leader unit. We all know what Vanquish does. Another form of removal. Another card that I play out of Aspect, Overall Mirage. Because I have a pretty decent amount of ways to give out experience tokens and stuff like that, I have oftentimes have pretty big units. To use Overall Mirage on a big unit and take out multiple units across the board is very big. Even for 7, Overall Mirage is definitely worth it. And next, we have U-Wing Reinforcements. You search top 10 cards of your deck, and for up to 3 units to combined total of 7 or less, you can put onto the board for free. So that's just really, really good. You can actually go ahead and grab Lando and Chopper together, but using it to grab Lando is pretty good, so you don't have to wait till 8 resources to go ahead and do so. But still, you can get a plethora of things in combination to really try to fill up your board in the late game. So U-Wing Reinforcements, very, very good. Definitely recommend playing it. Now we're going to go into our upgrades. We only have 5 upgrades, but still, we have Luke's Lightsaber. It is a great card on Luke. He heals up all of the damage on him. He gets a shield, and you know, he gets stronger. So he's just really, really good with Luke's Lightsaber. We have Electro Staff. I like to put it onto my Sentinels because if people try to attack into the unit holding the Electro Staff, they get -1 to their attack. And then also you're getting +2/+2. So this with Obi-Wan, one of my favorite combinations. Devotion, just give something restore 2 if you need a way to restore. This is a good way. Go ahead and throw Devotion on something. Jedi Lightsaber, it gives something +3/+3. Always good, but also it's a good way for you to try to take out threats from the opponent's side. Also, it gives them -2/-2 for the phase. So if there's something on the other side that you can go ahead and smack with this and not take much damage back, but then also hinder its ability to do damage for the phase, that's really good. And then traitorous. It's always good to take units from people, but also in this, I feel like there is a lot more experience tokens going to lower costing units in this format. And I remember there was a chance for me to take a Yularen with like 7 experience tokens, but instead I smacked someone in the face and the game ended and I lost. But still, the ability to take someone's unit that costs 3 or less is just really good in this format, in my opinion. And, you know, traitorous, that's why I played it. But yeah, so that's the deck. Again, when it comes to Twin Suns, the format is just a lot of fun. Just have to make sure that, one, you're paying attention. You're going to see in the matchup video that I lose track of what's going on and I completely blunder, and I'll go over it in that video. But just make sure you pay attention to what's going on, but then also like have fun. Try out a lot of different combination of leaders because there are a lot that kind of go together. I chose Hera and Luke. I also think that Krennic and Grand Inquisitor are a great combination. You have Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine. That's a really good combination because Darth Vader can go ahead and do damage to a random unit, and then you can bring out Palpatine, and then you can go ahead and snag that unit. It's just, there's so many different combinations to go ahead and try, and you can make a lot of different decks. So I hope you guys are enjoying Twin Suns if you guys are playing it. And if you guys want me to do more than just one a month, let me know. I'll bring in multiple. But for right now, we're going to do one Twin Suns deck list and matchup video a month. And we'll see how it goes from there. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that sub button. Support is always appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.